I'd like to talk today about how I stayed sober for 23 years. When initially I couldn't stay sober for an hour, never mind 23 years. Um, and I remember back in them days, it was horrendous really. You'd wake up in the morning rattling most of the time. I am searching the bed to see was there any bottles in the bed itself. Um, and you wonder how you get from thinking about alcohol 24 hours a day to actually being able to abstain from alcohol for 23 years. Um, and for me, it was a bumpy process. I'm going to be honest with you. I relapsed and got sobriety in cycles. I would have 3 months sober, 6 months sober, a year sober, 6 years sober, and so on. But what was most important, and the first thing I'm going to tell you, it may seem very obvious, but stop drinking. Now, I'm not saying at this point, you're going to stay stopped, because most people can stop drinking for an hour, they can stop drinking for a day. It's difficult. It's what we call white knuckle sobriety. You really feel you're hanging on. You want that drink. You've got that compulsion to drink. And it's so difficult. But the first thing you must do, point number one, you must stop drinking. Any plan you've got for long-term sobriety, it's to hang on, even if it's just for a day initially, but don't drink. Hang on. But unfortunately, until you clear the catalysts that make you want to drink, the catalysts that drive you to destructive drinking, you're almost certainly going to relapse. But you must get that, not sobriety, because that's equanimity of mind really, but that dryness to start with. So point one, stop drinking, even if it's for a day. Okay? Then point two, we've got to start dealing with the catalysts that make us want to drink destructively. Let's have a look at what alcoholism really is, because you hear so many things. Alcoholism means you drink too much. I know lots of people who drink a lot, but they're not alcoholics, a term I don't like, by the way. But why do people drink destructively? That's the first thing. So the reason people drink destructively is that when we imbibe alcohol, when we take alcohol in, it goes through what we call the blood-brain barrier. It infiltrates the blood-brain barrier, which normally only water gets through. But because the consistency of alcohol is very much like water, alcohol infiltrates the blood-brain barrier and it goes to the frontal lobes of the brain. Now, the frontal lobes of the brain, amongst other things, controls our inhibitions. And what alcohol does, it makes us become uninhibited, which means we don't care. Now, think about this. Think about it seriously. We've got a problem. We want to escape. All alcoholism is a mechanism to escape suffering. That's what it really is. Alcoholism is a mechanism to escape suffering. Okay? So, this alcohol goes to the frontal lobes of our brains. Okay? It makes us uninhibited, which means we don't care. So when we want to escape our problems, we drink, we don't care for a while. It also impairs our memory. Okay? So not only does it help us escape our problems by putting us in a mental state where we don't care, but also our memory is impaired, so we can't remember properly. So this is the hook. This is the real hook for alcoholism. That people drink to escape suffering in their lives, discontentment, suffering. It could be very, very deep suffering. It might be just a background of discontentment, but they want to escape life. So obviously, when they drink, their memory's impaired and they don't care for a while. So there's the hook. Next time you've got a problem, let's have a drink. The alcohol goes to the frontal lobes of the brain. We don't care and our memory is impaired. So we forget our problems for a while. The only problem is, we might say it knocks our memory out of action, but it also knocks our morals and our ethical side out. So not only don't we care about our problems, but we don't care about how we behave anymore. You know, it really sort of affects our ethics, our morals, and we become like loose cannons. So therefore, we start to become disgruntled. We haven't got anything to marshal our morals or ethics or whatever because it's been knocked out by alcohol, and therefore we start to do things that we wouldn't normally do and act in ways we wouldn't normally act when we're sober. Okay, now this creates another history from which we want to escape, which warrants more alcohol. So really what we're doing, initially we might get some initial release or relief from our problems when we imbibe alcohol. But over the long term, when we imbibe alcohol, we become Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, quite frankly. You know, we start to act in ways we would never dream of acting when we're sober. And we create this new history from which we need to escape. So it's a vicious cycle. We drink, we create a history from which we want to escape, which warrants more drink because we feel guilty, we feel fear, and so on. And we want to escape from these emotions. So the actual reason people drink, if you like, alcoholism itself is a mechanism of escape from suffering, from our problems. That's the function it serves. Make no mistake about that. And once you let that sink in, then we can start to realise that alcohol isn't the magical panacea for all life's problems. So the first thing we've got to do is stop drinking. Okay? And we need to hang on. It's white knuckle sobriety. It's not going to be easy when we first start drinking because all our problems flood back into our minds. So the next thing we need to do, point 2, is start dealing with the things that we're trying to run away from. Okay? And we need to share this with somebody else, maybe a professional, maybe a sponsor in AA, but we need to express those things within us that are causing us problems, the fearful things, the things we feel guilty over, and so on. We need to share them with another human being. We need to express them. Because if we keep them inside and we stuff them down, stuff that we suppress and repress is not dead and buried. You know, it's very much alive in our unconscious mind and it'll come back to bite us. So we need to share. We need to share what's really bothering us inside. And we really need to take our time over this and do it over time. But we need to do it. Our secrets will keep us drunk, believe me. So we need to get somebody we can trust, maybe a sponsor in AA or a counsellor, whatever, and we need to share the things that affect us psychologically. So that's point 2. Stop drinking and then start to share the things that affect us psychologically. Okay, and that's going to take time. Okay, and at this point we're going to think, you know, is this all there is to life? You know, it's just an existence. I don't feel like I'm living anymore. Okay, so what we need to do after we've done that stage is that we need to revisit our values. What is it that we actually value in life? You know, because we've probably got out of touch with them through our years or whatever it was of drinking. Everything's obliterated. So do a values elicitation exercise. What is it you value in life? What is it that you like in life? What is it that you love in life? You know, reacquaint yourselves with these things. It's so important. It's no good just giving up drink and then trying to alleviate all the problems that you had in drink, because that is not going to keep you happy. You're going to be very discontented at that point. So you need to have something to look forward to in life. And first of all, you know, what we need to do is elicit our values, you know. So, you know, for me, my values was I love music, I love teaching psychology, I love my family, I love traveling. These are all things I value in life. And I need to make them the foundation for my new life, if you like. I need some, rather than a life from which I want to escape, a life full of fear and guilt and remorse and so on, I need to create a life that's exciting, a life which I cherish. So I need to elicit my values first. Okay? And that will lead to purpose in life. And this is going to be my last point from this short talk today. We need purpose in life. And for me, I love psychology, so I started up courses and started teaching psychology, but we need to get a purpose. So find out what you love and start to do it. And believe me, what you love, you can make a career out of it if you're dedicated and you're resilient. You can make a career out of that. So, let's look back on this. You need to stop drinking. Number one, you need to clear the things from which you want to escape. The fears, the worries. You need to clear them. You need to express them. Don't repress, express. Go and talk to somebody and talk to people at length until you feel some sort of equanimity of mind returning. Them two alone are not enough. Number three, elicit your values. What is it that you value in life? What is it that you like in life? What you like to do? Start eliciting your values again. Get in touch with what you value in life and make that the focus of your purpose in life. Them four things will enable you to attain long-term sobriety. Okay? Thank you. And don't forget to like the video or subscribe to the channel and send in your questions. Send in your questions to me and I will answer them questions. Let's do this thing together. Thank you.